I thought it would be good to show two different mite count methods today, and I'm going to start with this piece of hardware, which is a alcohol wash device. Received this design from Randy Oliver. He had it covered on scientificbeekeeping.com. These are two peanut butter jars with the lids fused together with a soldering gun. The circle was cut out with a can that was heated and pressed down on it. And in between the two is fused a number 8 hardware cloth, which prevents the bees from passing through, but allows the mites to pass through freely. The way that it works is you put a half a cup of bees in this side, and you shake the container back and forth, and that will shake off the mites. And then you turn the device over, and as you turn it, the mites fall through and the bees stay up in this section, and then you can count the mites down here. It'll become evident when you see the video how it works. I have two devices here. I'm going to use this one for the display today. This is another one that I've created with bigger containers. I thought this would be better because the mouth is easier to dump the bees in. You won't miss. Haven't used that one yet, but plan to at some point. So let's go to the hardware that you need to do the sugar shake method. Tessie's here to help me out. We're going to take this jar that you use to feed with. It has little holes in the top, and you usually put sugar solution and turn it upside down, and we're going to make it a dual purpose device today. So my objective is to replace this with the lid that has a ring in it, and I have some hardware cloth here, and I'm going to put a circle around and cut it out, and I'm going to replace this lid with a hardware cloth center, and then I'll be able to use this jar for sugar duster to check for mites. And I have my half cup measure here that I'll use later to scoop the bees and put them inside this jar. And from that we'll be able to determine whether our mite thresholds are high and whether we need to treat. So I'm going to take this pattern here and draw around with my Sharpie and cut it out and put my hardware cloth in the ring. And here's Tiger here to help me too. So I've been able to successfully cut this number 8 hardware cloth and put it inside this ball jar lid, and now when I put the bees in and powder sugar them with this lid on, I can shake them until they get covered with powdered sugar and then replace it with this lid and shake it out over top of a jar and be able to count the mites that fall out. Let's go do a demo. I've shaken a number of bees into this box, and I'm going to scoop out a half a cup even, and I'm going to put them in here. I lost a couple, so I'll go get a couple more, and I'm going to put them back in here and let them go. And what I have here is some powdered sugar. And I'm just gently going to coat these bees with powdered sugar. I'm not shaking them like crazy. I'm just making sure that they're covered. The expectation here is that I'm going to go set them aside. The powdered sugar is going to melt, become slippery, and I'll be able to get the mites off. So I've shaken them a little bit. I've made sure they're all covered. And I'm going to go set them aside in the sun and let it heat up a little. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I've not done a mite check on this hive yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a frame that I know has nurse bees on it. The reason I'm pulling the frame with nurse bees is that is where you're going to find the varroa mite. They're going to be where the brood is. I've looked at this hive. I know the queen is on this frame. I'm going to pull this frame, which is covered with larvae. I'm going to shake off the bees in this box, in this container. I'm going to use my half cup measure, and I'm going to take them off, and I'm going to put them in this alcohol wash. Yes, I'm sacrificing bees. That's what happens with this method. And I'm going to check and see if I have a Varroa count in here. I'm positive the queen is not on this frame, but I'm going to take one more look just to make sure she didn't sneak over here. I don't see her here. I don't see her here. I'm going to shake off the bees in here. Put my frame back real quick. Bang my bees down real quick. I want to make sure I look in here that I don't see the queen. I know she's not in here. I'm going to scoop up my half cup of bees. And I'm going to put them in my alcohol wash. And then I'm going to put the rest back. And I'll do my mite check here. Okay, I have a half cup of bees in this container. They're covered with powdered sugar. I know they've been in here long enough because the powdered sugar is melted. They don't look like snow bees anymore. They're covered off, and what I'm going to do now is I've changed the lid from the solid lid that I had before to one with hardware cloth, and I'm going to turn them over and I'm going to shake them down so that the mites fall into the water. If there's powdered sugar in here that falls into the water, it and any debris will sink, but the mites are going to float. And I should be able to count them off and see what's going to happen here, about how many mites. Now I have a half cup of bees, which is 300 bees. And 300 bees, if you look at the percentage of bees for a threshold to see whether there's mites and whether you need to treat, you're looking for 6 mites out of 300 bees. And then anything higher than that, and I'm going to have to treat that hive that I'm working with. So let's check these in now. You know, what I did was I put these bees in here with the sugar and I've rolled them around. I've tried not to damage them. For this part though, I am going to have to turn them over and shake them pretty good to make sure I get all the debris down here. So they're going to get banged up a little bit, but trust me, I'm going to put them back in the hive and they'll be okay. I've not really shaken them excessively up to this point, so they've just kind of been sitting in here. So I'm going to turn them over and I'm going to shake it down. And I see 3 mites already. I'm going to wiggle it around a little bit to make sure. Let's see what I got here. Okay, I could stop here. And what I'm going to do is take this over to the hive. Yeah, they're a little angry. You could probably hear them. And I'm going to put them back in the hive and let them lick their wounds. But they should be none the worse for the wear. And then I'm going to come back and show you what happened inside the hive box here. Let's take a look at what happened in here. Okay, we're going to take a look at what we have going on in here. Now I've shaken it out and I can see already that I have mites floating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sure if I continued to shake those bees out that there would be more in there, but I really don't need to. What I'm trying to figure out is do I have 6 or more in that sample size, and I do. So I suspect that if I'd have shaken more out, I would have definitely found more, and it doesn't matter, I have to treat them anyway. With the sugar shake method, you don't have to kill the bees. You probably damage them a little bit, but at least you can put them back in the hive. And I'm still able to determine a count. They do say though that the better and more accurate way to do it is an alcohol wash. Same method, half cup of bees. You're looking for a threshold of 6. And what you do is you put these bees in an alcohol wash and then you shake them up real well, and when I turn this over, the mites will wash through and I'll be able to count them on this side. So I'm going to shake this really hard, like that kind of hard. And what I'm trying to do is dislodge the mites. And Randy Oliver, who shows this method, says if you dislodge a couple stingers, then maybe you're doing it right. Now I've already shaken this, quite frankly, so what I'm going to do is turn it around. You give it a little bit of swirl like this, And that's to make sure that all of the mites come down. And once everything settles, you should be able to just lift it up and see whether you have mites in the bottom. And in this case, it's pretty clear. Let me see what I have for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I literally have 6.5 cups of bees, which is right at the threshold. If I had any more, I'd probably treat, but I think from that hive standpoint, I'm okay, and I'm not going to do anything. So just to be clear that you can see them, here's what the jar looks like, and I'll let them settle down. And you could see the mites floating down in there, and when they settle in, you could count them pretty easily.